Welcome to the podcast that's been named one of the very best in marketing research. This is Research Business Daily Report, the industry's only daily research video blog. You can go to RBDR's exclusive community at the crowdfunding platform patreon.com/RBDR and lend your support. I'm Bob Lederer, for more than 25 years, the respected voice in market research. We welcome you to Market Research in the COVID-19 era. This is episode number 88. It's a special one with Kirti Singh, Procter & Gamble's Chief Analytics Officer and Insights Officer, speaking with Interbrand CEO Charles Trevail on Trevail's podcast called Outside In. During the excerpts you're about to hear, Singh addressed a variety of subjects, most especially P&G's thinking about the coronavirus. And here's Kirti Singh in his own words.
So the interesting thing again of that, and that's why I started with the outcomes, is that we try and not become obsessed with tools and capabilities. So we really start as to what is the business problem or what is the consumer problem that we are trying to solve or resolve, or what's the opportunity that we are trying to address. And that leads us into what's the best possible way of getting to that answer or that solution or those options. So that's how we kind of take it. And today, the variety that we have in that, it's just tremendous. I will not underestimate still in today's world, in the industries that we play in, the power of human insights, which comes from observation, from listening. So all of those things are still very relevant for us. If we can, we go to consumers' homes to do that. But as you know, that in the last 6 months, with some of the COVID crisis that everybody has gone through, that has not been possible. And hence, it was interesting because even prior to that, what we had been developing is ways of virtually connecting with consumers. And if anything, the last 6 months have been a catalyst for that, of really driving that. So how can you virtually connect with consumers, but still trying to do the same thing, which is observe, listen to the consumers, interact with them? Behavioral sciences, another space that has had just a tremendous amount of development over the last few years. And we leverage that very much inside about how the human mind works and how we can understand that and help that in our understanding our consumers and hence better serve them. And then, of course, the whole explosion in the space of data, in the space of analytics and algorithms and artificial intelligence and many different vectors of technology. And that has definitely completely changed as to how we go about doing it. Previously, we might, to understand habits and practices of consumers, we might have to do a survey, which was probably 100 questions long. It took 2 hours to do that. And, you could be doing it with a door-to-door interview or a telephone or, since 2000s, and internet-based surveys, but they were still surveys. In today's world, you can use technologies like IoT to, in a very implicit manner, get answers to some of the same questions. The thing which we haven't lost sight of is that we could be working with big data sets, but we always keep in mind that behind every data, there is a human being. Mm-hmm. So we translate everything, regardless of how we got to it, whether it was an algorithm or a machine learning model or artificial intelligence, but we always distill it and crystallize it to here's the human behind all of that, and this is what it means to him and her. What an unprecedented experience. And to me, from my perspective, one of the most interesting things is that it's one experience that 7 billion people on this planet have all gone through, one way or the other. How do we go about connecting with consumers in a context like that? And that, as I mentioned before, that, we had started anyway doing a lot of our work by leveraging virtual ways of connecting with consumers. And what COVID drove was, if anything, became a catalyst for that and amplified that. And again, consumers are always, always important for us. But we knew that there are shifts which are happening in their lives right now. So it was even more important to stay in touch with them. So I think in the first 8 to 12 weeks, as COVID was breaking, we actually had connects with over 250,000 consumers in 40 plus markets around the world. And really, to me, if I kind of boil it down to, there are three broad macro trends or shifts that are happening through it all. The first reaction, of course, was a very human reaction that everybody went through, which for, dads and moms translated to how do I keep my family safe? So which led to really a heightened awareness and a heightened behaviors around cleaning, sanitizing, health and hygiene. Where, as you can imagine, that there are a lot of our brands which play into that space, and we definitely experienced that. I do think that that's one of the things which will continue. So I do think that the fundamental increase in the importance of health and hygiene has gone up to an extent that it will continue to be an important part of consumers' lives going forward. Will there be reactionary things about, some of that experience in the first few weeks? No, but it will fundamentally continue to be important to the consumers going forward. The second kind of a thing, if you kind of think about as to what all consumers and all of us went through, was that we are all homebound, and which has fundamentally increased the role that home plays in consumers' lives. And the last, which we are at the early stages of that, is that, I think we'll see what the new normal looks like. But one of the immediate ones, as we look at the future, which will be there, is certainly there are a lot of households, a lot of families who have lost their jobs or have reduced incomes. And I think that economic impact and hardship is going to have an impact on consumers' choices. Our learnings are that they will go for brands that they trust more, brands that they can rely more, and brands that provide them the best value.
It is getting late in the game, but we're still accepting contributions to this coronavirus and research series. So if you think you know or have experienced something highly unusual in your research world during the last 7 or 8 months, please email your ideas and your feelings to me at rflbob@gmail.com. That's a wrap for today's Research Business Daily Report. If you make it a habit to watch RBDR occasionally or every day, well, thank you. We assume that if you fall into either category, you're finding RBDR time well spent. So never hesitate to recommend any of our videos to friends and peers who could benefit from the information that we have provided. And we hope that you will also consider becoming an RBDR Patreon supporter, which is doable at patreon.com/RBDR. So have a great research day. We look forward to seeing you again on RBDR tomorrow. And until then, please stay safe.